The people who need nothing from you are the ones you can never stop thinking about. Not the ones who asked for your attention, not the ones who made their need for you visible. The ones who move through your life completely intact, self-contained, unbothered, requiring nothing from you to feel complete. Those are the people you wanted most to impress, most to keep, most to be seen by. Machiavelli identified this mechanism 5 centuries ago. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why neediness destroys respect and what genuine independence does to every relationship and room you walk into. Let's start with why neediness repels. Not because people are cruel, but because of something the brain does automatically that most people never examine. When you need something from someone, their approval, their attention, their validation, their presence, you are not just expressing a desire, you are transferring responsibility. You are making them, without their consent, the custodian of something that belongs to you. Your sense of worth, your feeling of security, your ability to feel okay about yourself in the current moment. And people feel that transfer. Not always consciously, but in the way their energy shifts when you enter a room wanting something from them, in the slight heaviness that arrives with the interaction, in the faint but real awareness that being around you carries a cost, the cost of managing your need. This is not a judgment, it is mechanics. Machiavelli observed it in every court he documented. The advisor who needed the prince's approval became someone the prince managed rather than consulted. The ally who showed they needed the alliance more than the other party became a liability rather than an asset. The person whose emotional state was visibly dependent on how the interaction went became, in every room, a burden instead of a presence. None of these people were weak in any conventional sense. They were capable, often brilliant, frequently more talented than the people who ended up above them, but they had handed their internal state to someone else to manage. And no one, not even the people who loved them, wanted that responsibility indefinitely. Neediness is not about how much you want something. It is about where you have located the source of your own worth. The moment you locate it externally, in how someone responds to you, in whether they stay, in whether they approve, you have made yourself a dependent. And dependents, in every human relationship, are treated differently than equals. The second thing neediness does is more specific, and it explains why the people who seem to need the least consistently attract the most. Not as a strategy, as a function of how desire actually operates. Human desire does not respond to abundance, it responds to scarcity. What is freely available, fully accessible, and unconditionally present loses its perceived value over time, not because its actual value is changed, but because the brain stops registering what requires no effort to obtain. And this is not a flaw. It is how attention allocation works. The brain conserves processing resources by deprioritizing what is stable and predictable. It allocates attention to what is uncertain, variable, or potentially withdrawing. The person who needs nothing is, by their nature, slightly uncertain, slightly unpredictable. Not because they are playing games, because they genuinely have somewhere else to be, something else that matters, a direction that continues with or without you. And that genuine uncertainty activates exactly the mechanism that availability extinguishes. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who made himself too accessible was soon taken for granted, not out of ingratitude, out of psychology. The brain had categorized him as stable and predictable and had redirected its attention elsewhere. The prince who remained slightly elusive, not cold, not withholding, but genuinely occupied with his own affairs, held a different position in the minds of the people around him, one that required maintenance, one that produced a low-level, consistent motivation in others to secure his attention. This is not manipulation. You cannot manufacture this quality. You can only develop it by genuinely investing in your own direction, to the degree that your presence becomes something people feel the value of because they can feel the possibility of its absence. The person who needs nothing does not make themselves scarce artificially. They are genuinely scarce because their interior life is full enough that no single relationship or outcome determines the quality of their existence. Build the interior. The scarcity follows naturally. The third thing is where this moves from psychology into something that changes every relationship you are currently in. Because it is not about becoming cold. It is about understanding what respect actually is and where it actually comes from. Think about the people in your life you respect most deeply, not the people you like the most, not the people who are warmest or most generous or most present. The ones you genuinely respect, whose opinion lands differently, whose absence you would actually feel, whose approval means something even when you don't seek it consciously. In almost every case, those people do not appear to need your respect. They are not performing for it, not seeking it, not adjusting their behavior based on whether you are providing it. They seem, from the outside, to be operating entirely on their own axis, and your respect arrives not as something they asked for, but as something you assign them automatically because of how they carried themselves. That automatic assignment is the mechanism Machiavelli identified as the foundation of genuine authority. He wrote that the prince who sought to be loved above all else would be managed by those whose love he sought. But the prince who operated from his own center, who made decisions based on his own judgment rather than the need for approval, would be respected by people who didn't even intend to respect him. Because respect is not a transaction. It is a response. It arrives when the brain encounters someone whose internal state does not appear to be contingent on the external world, and registers that as a form of strength it cannot fully explain, but cannot ignore. You cannot ask for respect. You cannot perform your way into it. You can only become someone whose presence does not require it, and watch it arrive anyway. This is the part most videos on this topic skip entirely. They tell you to need less. They do not tell you what to fill the space with, because the danger of this advice, applied incorrectly, is not that it makes you powerful, it is that it makes you hollow. The person who needs nothing because they feel nothing is not independent, they are disconnected. And disconnection reads differently than independence. People feel the difference immediately. Genuine neediness reduction is not subtraction. It is redirection. It is taking the energy that currently flows outward toward approval, toward external validation, toward the need to be seen and understood and accepted, and redirecting it inward, toward work, toward direction, toward the development of an interior life rich enough that no single relationship or outcome carries the weight of your entire sense of worth. Machiavelli built this in exile. Stripped of every external source of validation, his career, his status, his influence, he had nothing left to need from the world, so he turned inward. He wrote, he thought, he built something from the inside out. And what he built was so complete that the world eventually came to find it. That is the model, not cold, not empty, not indifferent to human connection. Genuinely invested in your own direction, to the degree that your peace does not depend on anyone else's response to you. Build that, protect it, and watch what changes in every room you walk into from today forward. 4 things. 1 shift underneath all of them. Neediness transfers your worth to someone else to manage, and no one wants that responsibility. Desire runs on scarcity, and the person who genuinely has somewhere else to be is the person whose presence becomes valuable. Respect cannot be asked for or performed. It is assigned automatically to those who don't appear to need it. And the path there is not subtraction but redirection, from external validation toward internal direction. Machiavelli never wrote about relationships directly. He wrote about power, about perception, about what makes one person's presence commanding and another person's presence manageable. But the mechanics are identical in every context. Because whether the room is a court or a conversation, the person at the center of it is never the one who needs it most. It is always the one who could leave and be fine. There is someone in your life right now whose approval you have been working for, maybe for months, maybe for years. Someone whose response to you carries more weight than it should. Someone whose opinion of you has been quietly shaping how you show up, in ways you have not fully examined until right now. You do not have to keep giving that person that position, not by withdrawing from them, not by becoming cold, just by redirecting the energy that has been flowing toward their approval, back toward your own direction. Build something that matters to you, independently of whether they see it. Develop something that continues with or without their response. Become someone whose interior is full enough that their opinion, while perhaps still valued, is no longer the condition for your peace. That shift does not happen overnight, but it begins with the decision that your worth lives inside you, not in how anyone else responds to you. Make that decision today. And watch what changes in how the people around you begin to treat you. One question: whose approval have you been quietly working for? Him. And what is locating your worth in their response actually cost you? You do not have to answer out loud, but sit with it long enough to feel the honest answer. Drop independent in the comments if this shifted something real for you. I will be reading every one.